What's going on YouTube? It's Blake went back for another video today, and today's topic is a 500-pound bench naturally achievable? And the short answer is yes. A 500-pound bench is 100% naturally achievable, but depending on where you are on the scale, on the spectrum, on a genetic spectrum, that could change very quickly. See, a 500-pound bench is so significant because most people have a goal to bench 225, 315, and very few people have a goal to bench 405 pounds. 500 pounds is really the first goal that is outside of what most people think is possible for their body. A lot of people think, I could bench 405 in my lifetime. I could bench 315 in my lifetime. Very, very, very few people think that a 500-pound bench is achievable for them naturally, and a lot of people do not want to get on steroids or take the risks involved with getting to a 500-pound bench. Thankfully, I've been able to bench 500 pounds at 17 years old. Now, the variables to my lift was I was wearing elbow wraps, which is not competition standard, and it was a bounce off of my chest. Both of those things make that lift not competition standard, but it is technically a 500-pound bench press. If you really break it down, just about anybody could bench 500 pounds with the right amount of equipment and the right amount of training. But just saying elbow wraps being mostly raw and however fast you go off your chest, butt comes in the air, sort of things like that, I'm going to include in this video and say that that is considered a raw 500-pound natural bench press. I would say if you go to look at all the people who bench 500 pounds naturally, the number one weight class or weight area where I think you'd see that is 300 pounds to 350 pounds body weight. Typically, these are going to be some really big guys, a lot of football players, football offensive linemen, football defensive linemen, just really, really big guys, and they have been able to achieve a 500-pound bench press. Now, people like myself, where I'm only sitting at 6 feet tall, 240 pounds body weight, I am where it starts to skew on if people can bench 500 pounds or not. So then how achievable is a natural 500-pound bench press for the average person? So looking at the average male, saying the average male only weighs 180 pounds, well, I'd say that the average male really does not have a chance at benching 500 pounds. I would say that your height must be at least 5'8" so you could carry the frame needed to bench 500 pounds. Now, I understand that there probably are some shorter natural people who have benched 500 pounds, but I would ultimately say you must have a height of 5'8" or higher to bench 500 pounds. But all variables are possible that you still could bench 500 pounds if you are shorter than that. The reason I say 5'8" is because I really do not see it supernaturally possible. Now, I understand that there is a bunch of people who have benched 500 pounds under 200-pound body weight. I understand that. But for just for the average natural person, I do not think that they have the genetics to bench 500 pounds at sub 200 pounds body weight. I would say for somebody's best bet at benching 500 pounds, they would need to weigh over the body weight of 220 pounds and more ideally weigh 275 pounds or heavier. In my next video, I will cover what it takes to get to a natural 500-pound bench. But in this video, I'm just going to give you the specifics and let you know how achievable is a 500-pound natural bench press. So as I just said, ideally, you would like to be 5'8" or taller and 220 pounds or heavier to be able to bench 500 pounds. Now, if we look at that group of people right there, I would still say that only a very small percentage of the people that are over those bonuses, I'd say only a small percent of those people could even naturally achieve a 500-pound bench press. Another factor comes into play when looking for a 500-pound bench press. It is your arm length. And it's really not that hard to figure out that somebody with longer arms is going to have a worse bench press than someone with shorter arms. Me personally, my arms are somewhat shorter, on the shorter side. But arm length isn't everything. There's many people who have benched well over 500 pounds and even 600 pounds with very unoptimal arm length and leverage. But it is just one more of those bonuses and those genetic gifts that you can have that can help you bench this 500 pounds. When training in the gym for 500-pound lift, I would believe that the average person would have to work out for at least 7 to 8 years before even thinking about going for a 500-pound bench press. For me personally, it took me 5 years, but because of my growth and going through puberty and getting bigger along the way, it definitely sped up the process because of my age. I would say for the average man to transform his body, I'd say at least 7 years. Now, you have to take that population of people that we just found, and we have to find somebody who had a good enough mentality that can stay in the gym for 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 years to be able to achieve this. I'm going to compare this to becoming a second-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Many people can become a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but that is very hard to do already. That is a 7-year process, and I would compare becoming a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to benching 455 pounds in the gym. The two are both very, very hard to get to, and a lot of people are just not built for it. But the 500-pound bench press in the second degree black belt is something that's just a whole nother level. You can't ever be satisfied. You have to be born with a mentality of I just always want more to be able to conquer a 500-pound bench press, and that's just pretty simple. So now that we've really broken this down, 5'8" and over, 220 pounds and over, how much over do you need to be? So ideally, I would say the ideal build for somebody who is not 300 pounds plus, not skewed outside, not skewed below, I would say the ideal build for somebody who's trying to bench 500 pounds is 6'1", 280 pounds. I would say this is the perfect build for this achievement. You would also need to be born with shorter arms and a body that can handle lots of bench pressing work. You also would have to be born with tremendous luck to not get injured, to stay clean, and to have a bunch of good surrounding people with you that are able to push you to this 500-pound bench. For somebody that is about 5'5", 165 pounds, unfortunately, I do not believe that you could get to this weight naturally, and I feel like only a few people in history have ever done it naturally. So for the average person, I do think that to achieve a 500-pound natural bench press, you wouldn't be able to do it naturally. I think that you would have to get on steroids. It's no joke that you have to be genetically gifted to bench 500 pounds regardless of steroids or natural, but to be natural and bench 500 pounds, your genetics have to be at least 1 in 100,000 for the strength gene. Now, I'm not sure if the strength gene is a real thing or not, but you have to be blessed with the pressing genetics if you want a chance at benching 500 pounds naturally. Now, for somebody that is outside of these limits that I just talked about, and let's say so-and-so is 6'4", 320 pounds, right? Where the ideal 500-pound bencher probably is. How achievable is it for them to achieve a 500-pound bench press? I would still say that the years of training does not really change. I would say you'd probably need 6 years of training at that size and that body weight, saying that you're starting from nothing to get to a 500-pound bench press. Because as we all know, the more you weigh, it will help your bench press. Now, very few people who have great genetics, and let's say they are 6'4" and 320 pounds, to say that they have great strength genetics on top of their great size genetics, I believe that the earliest you can achieve a natural 500-pound raw bench would be about 3 years. I do not believe that somebody could go from 0 all the way up past 500 in less than 3 years, regardless of their body weight. They could even weigh 500 pounds. I do not see how one could go from 135 to 500 in less than 3 years. I do not believe that that is naturally possible. So that's just a quick video today, guys, to explain, is a 500-pound natural bench achievable? And the short answer is yes, but the long answer is it's really only designed for a small amount of the population and a small amount of people that really have the drive, determination, genetics, size, and everything else it takes combined to hit a natural 500-pound bench. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next. I'm out.